Hello, David Sweeney here. So today I'm going to talk about wrist conditions, how I examine them in practice and what we do to treat them. And we're using Kelly here to help out with it today. So let's jump into the video. Okay, so first thing, this is called the radial bone up through here, and then we have the ulna and they connect here through the radial ulna joint, and then we have the radius that connects to these bones called the carpals. And there's a row of them at the front, we call it the first row, and then a row up here called the second row. And the first row actually does a lot of movement backwards, so we can check if it's actually moving properly by gripping through here and then doing a glide back and forth. And this is where Kelly's actually quite locked up and blocked, so I'll be adjusting this now in a few moments. And then we move down a row, so I clasp the first row, grip the second row and see if it glides properly, and that row feels great for Kelly, and that does all of the flexion of the wrist. So most office workers that I see have a lot of problems with wrist extension. Now the wrist also needs this deviation, so this is called radial deviation, and we have ulnar deviation. Sometimes this side of it gets extremely stuck and we have to adjust and manipulate across to actually free up that problem. Also, the carpal bones need to distract away from the radius, and all I do is I simply grip across here and I give it a stretch like that, and then I can do the spanner movement, so I'm pulling the radius away from this position up through here, and it should just glide, so the radial head here should glide down. Now there's a really interesting joint right down in here at the lower part of the wrist called the ulnar minetral triquetral joint. So what I'm going to do is I hook this bone called the pisiform right through here like that, and then I use this hand and then I stretch downwards like so. And sometimes this is extremely painful, and all I need to do is manipulate it down and get that little meniscus that exists between that joint to move properly. Then we can check something called de Quervain's Tenosynovitis. So we close up the thumb and the wrist like that, and then we're going to stretch that away and make sure these tendons can travel through this thick band that wraps around the wrist. And if it doesn't, this can be extremely painful, and that really needs to be iced and treated completely so the thumb doesn't seize up. So to finish off, we have the radial ulnar joint, and I can clasp it like this, and I'm going to shear back and forth and make sure that moves and glides really, really well. Then the wrist also needs to pronate completely this direction. We go the other way, and this is supination, and those both move really, really well for Kelly. Okay, so let's see how we adjust the first row. So I'm going to use this board called the Tully board. We load it and it drops away like that, and it's a really nice, effective and safe way to manipulate the wrist. So simply load it up like this. I'm going to hold the wrist and hold it into the way it was restricted like that, and that's going to be the action. So we tighten up the board, add more tension on the board and drop into it, and now more speed like that, and there we go, and that clears up that joint restriction right away. And now Kelly's going to get a fantastic ability to extend. That means all of the extensor musculature of the wrist will no longer have difficulty pulling the wrist backwards. That means they're going to be more efficient, less strain, and therefore less prone to injury. So this is how we actually get these wrist joints moving properly, so all of the musculature off the forearm can control that properly. Okay, how does that feel, Kelly?
Yeah, really good.
Fantastic.
Quite pleased.
Done.